All right, there we go. The timer started, and we are diving right ahead into this screen with a lot of text. Hope you all like this screen because we're going to be seeing it a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of text in this game, and unfortunately these players are playing on English, which loses about 3 minutes to Japanese just from text.
Yeah, but as it turns out, normally since we use in-game time, it doesn't actually matter much as far as your actual gameplay, but in a race like this, your mashing actually starts becoming very important. So one of them is better at mashing than the other. It can definitely save them a significant amount of time throughout the run. But starting out, not much to say here. We're just going to be talking to the computer a lot, and we're going to go shoot a single mutant frog thingy before figuring out what the mystery, what caused the mysterious explosion on the BSL station. Spoiler alert: it's a floating space jello with a really dumb name.
This is the hardest enemy in the game.
It's actually not always in the exact same place, so depending on how it wants to cooperate or not, sometimes you can lose a few seconds trying to get the 2 shots on it. But anyways, you're going to be seeing both runners do a lot of very acrobatic-looking movement. In this game, a surprising amount of time can be gained or lost just by having clean movement, so taking full advantage of things like wall jumps. And also, you'll see, if you're somersaulting through the air, shooting to come out of the somersault right before you land will actually have you on the ground and running a little bit faster than just landing normally, which will save you frames every time you do it, but over a run that's nearly 2 hours long usually, that's not a small amount of time. Because in this game, running is faster than jumping, so you want to be spending as much time on the ground running as possible.
Another thing to mention is aerial movement in this game is quite slow. However, if you wall jump, I believe you move around 50% faster in the air than just a normal spin jump. So you want to be wall jumping as much as possible rather than just normal jumps.
And wall jumping, despite that particular perk though, has lost one of the things that made it extremely useful in Super Metroid. In this game, wall jumping pushes you away from the wall enough that you cannot single wall jump anymore. So you're not going to be seeing any of that, not unlike Zero Mission or Super Metroid. But the good news is we're about to add something else into Samus's toolbox here. We're about to get the missiles, which aren't the most powerful thing in the game, but we are definitely going to be necessary for getting through these first few minutes. Oh yeah, and in case talking to the computer wasn't enough, you also get the occasional monologue on these very sad-sounding elevators. Because I swear, I don't know who designed the sound for the elevators, but in this game, they just sound so sad. And you'll also notice a difference from other Metroid games. In this game, unlike pretty much every other Metroid under the sun, you're not getting power-ups by getting them from Chozo statues or things like that. Instead, you're just downloading them off the internet. Because that's one of the side effects of Samus's upgrade and merging with Metroid DNA, is that now she can apparently just download upgrades. Literally, that is exactly what it is. I'm not even exaggerating or making a joke.
Another way to absorb abilities, which we'll see in a couple minutes here after the racers fight Arachnus to get more fall. You can absorb abilities through a core X, which is a very large X that'll let you restore your latent abilities.
Yep, but it's not quite as simple as just grabbing it from the air like you do with these yellow and green ones, but we'll cover that when we get to Arachnus, which is coming up really quickly. They're both moving very fast here. We're also coming up on one of the more annoying aspects of RNG in this game, the eye doors. Before you get into a boss room, you have to deal with a door. When its eye opens, it's either going to shoot a beam at you, or it's going to reveal its weak spot, and you have to hit that weak spot 3 times. The problem is, you have no control over it, and it can have up to 4 beams between every vulnerable showing, so PhazonKnight not having too much luck here at all. So he got the door a little bit faster than Next Gen did, but looks like Next Gen might get through it faster because of just by that virtue of eye door luck. Nope, making it through about the same time. They're neck to neck again. And you'll also notice...
So,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
this first boss is actually a little bit harder in 100% as the runners will only have 19 missiles going in as they have to grab that energy tank. But in any percent, you'll actually have 20, which makes this fight a lot easier.
Yeah, but they're hoping to see Arachnus not roll like you just did for Phazon. Next gen getting the perfect luck and already on the Core X. And both of them on Core X and getting getting the double missiles. You want to talk a bit about double missiles?
Okay, so when the Corax is first forming, if you're able to shoot two missiles into it at the same, and they are both in the Corax's hitbox at the same time, they'll do double damage. And you can also set that up by luring the Corax up or either above or below you, and you can shoot two missiles straight up and jump before shooting the second one, and you can have both of the missiles hit the Corax at the same time as well. And that'll save a lot of time throughout this run.
Yep, and that works because the Core X, despite being round, actually has a square hitbox. So flying sideways, you can totally have it hit two missiles at once, and we will do it throughout the run. And you also saw, I think Phazon got it, if you kill the Core X around the same spot where it normally floats after you destroy it, it'll actually become, you can pick it up immediately instead of having it flash. And that's called Sweet Spot. It'll save you a few seconds if you can pull that off. So between double missiles and Sweet Spot, you can save quite a few seconds on every single Core X, and there are a lot of Core X's in this game. But with that, we're going to bid the main deck farewell because we have trouble in the breeding environments. Sector 1, the SR388 sector, has been infested by the X, so we have to go down there and figure out what the heckle is going on and fix it. Because apparently we're also a mechanic.
Looks like Next Gen actually skipped over that missile, so hopefully he'll catch it later. Normally, sometimes for any percent and all the time for 100%, you want to grab that missile on the way to the sectors, which saves a bit of time, and it also just makes Sector 1 easier because you'll have 5 extra missiles.
Yeah, because in 100%, much like 100% in other Metroids, but after a few minutes, after doing not too far into it, you're already at a point where you don't have to worry about health or ammo. But Sector 1, and this first time visiting Sector 1, is one of the few times where missile count can actually be a problem depending on how well it goes for you. So passing up on that missile upgrade tank is a surprising move. So let's see if that ends up causing Next Gen some trouble here. But as the computer's going to tell us here, the gimmick now is that there are, I want to say 5, I always miscount, 5 rooms here in Sector 1 that have trouble with their atmospheric stabilizers. They've been infested by the X. So we have to go to each of them and blow them up with either 3 missiles or a charged shot. Oops, did I just spoil the fact we're getting the charge beam? We're getting the charge beam here as well along the way. So it's just going to be a lot of movement and very careful use of missiles to get through the rooms as quickly as possible. Because aside from those atmospheric stabilizers, there are a few enemies and barriers that can only be removed with missiles. So that count is very important here. Alright, both of them coming up to the first one. They move up and down a little bit on the stabilizers, so depending on a little bit of randomness, they can be in an optimal position to just shoot while standing, or you have to actually shoot them a little bit while you jump. So little things like that can lose you a couple of seconds, or maybe even less. But in a run that's like this one, that's nothing. That's something you want to be very mindful of.
Coming up in, I believe, the 3rd atmospheric stabilizer room, that can actually make quite a large difference because you're unable to see it before you're able to shoot it. So you may waste a missile or two, which can end very poorly. Also, Phazon getting a very rare Red X from that Space Pirate. I believe
Ooh.
Red X's are like a 1% chance from Space Pirates, and Red X will refill 500 energy and I believe 50 missiles.
Yeah, they're extremely rare from pirates, so getting that there is... I don't think I've actually seen it at this tournament so far at all. So because that Phazon does not have to worry about missiles at all, meanwhile, Next Gen, still in single-digit missiles, has to worry because he has to deal with this room and then several pirates in the next room. and then an eye door. So he's got a opting not to farm. Looks like he's hoping to get a green X drop in the next room when he deals with the pirates, which is usually a pretty safe bet, but if it doesn't work out, it could be troublesome. We'll see. Okay, next gen getting the green drops, so I think he should be fine on missiles here. Oh, yes, he should be. Yeah, especially if, thankfully, when you kill an eye door, it drops a red X, always, guaranteed. So all he needs is 3 for the eye door, so he doesn't miss 2 missiles on the eye door, he'll be fine. And I'm sure, as both runners are very happy to note, this is the last eye door where you have to actually worry about hitting it 3 separate times, because once you get the charge beam, you can take advantage of its unique properties to only have to shoot the door once.
Phazon getting 4 beams. It's not bad at all.
No, next gen right behind him.
So on this core, it's a little bit different. Since it's a beam core, it'll have an eye that'll open up, and after a short amount of time, it'll shoot at you. So since it has a smaller weak point, it's also a little bit harder to hit doubles. However, if you jump and aim down and shoot 2 missiles at the right time, you're able to still double it.
Yep, and I don't think either of them got doubles on that. It's definitely harder than one of the normal Core X's, but now they both have Charge Beam, and Charge Beam is one of the most useful things you will get in this entire game. Because you'll notice the shot is wider. That's actually 2 shots. And on top of that, when you see them fire, you'll notice that Samus has a little flash around her arm. Between the 2 shots and that flash, a fully charged shot does, I want to say, 29 damage, is it?
It'll do 26 damage, and they can abuse that very heavily on a boss coming up later. Next gen forgetting the stabilizer, unless he got it earlier and I didn't catch it.
Well, he'll realize it in a moment, because the game graciously tells you how many you have left.
Never mind. I thought he was in a different room. My bad.
Okay.
He went past the save room, not the stabilizer.
Yeah, I sometimes, when I'm not paying attention, go into that room by accident, and I just feel like a big dope. We'll go back to that room later, but we don't need it just yet.
That'll be at the very end of the run, in about an hour and 10 minutes from now.
Mm-hmm. Interesting there. Anyone who's actually knows this game well enough to know where items are will note that there actually is a missile tank that is beyond that save room, and we can get it now, but we won't, because we have it figured out that it's with the movement tech we have later with more upgrades. It's faster to get it later when we come back through here during cleanup, so we're just leaving it for later just because it's faster. Not because we're forgetting, at least I hope not. Yeah, but no, between the charge beam and the flare, and the fact that getting other beam upgrades increases the damage of both the charge shots and the flare, the charge beam is your best friend throughout this game. You will be taking full advantage of it.
Quite a large difference from Zero Mission, which Zero Mission's charge beam is, let's just say, a little worse than Fusion's.
It's in Zero Mission, its entire purpose is to give you pseudo screw attack, which it does here too, but it's so much more useful beyond that. In any case, both runners are on their way to Sector 2, the Tropical Sector, where they're going to get the next major upgrade, the bombs, and also encounter one of the quote-unquote gimmicks of the game, which is it's stuck behind a security door, which you can see on the top right corner there, but because it's a security thing, it's not shown on the map, but the game makes it pretty obvious to figure out where you're going, and even if it didn't, these guys both know where it is, so you're going to see them heading straight there.
Yeah, it's a slight detour, so they'll have to go out of the way, but they'll have to do this for all 4 of the locks later on in the run as well. Yep,
and if you might remember, in Sector 1 I had mentioned that missile management was the most important thing. Here in Sector 2, it switches a bit. Health management becomes the most important thing, because there are these red worm guys whose name I can never remember, all over the place. Touching them does...
It's called a Zoro?
Zoro?
I'm not sure about that.
Oh, that's fine, I'll go with that. Sign of the Z and all that. But no, Zoros, if you touch them, they do 45 damage, and at this point, running into 7 of them will kill you, and there's a lot of them throughout here, so it's very easy if you're not careful to just start running into the Zoros and the flying enemies, and if you're not careful, you can die here. We have seen several people die in this Sector 2 visit because of running into enemies a lot, so...
There's also a very, 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 very scary skip at the end of this sector that has killed many, many runners throughout this tournament. And unfortunately,
yes.
I've actually won a match having my opponent die to that skip. So it's very scary, and it's very... It will kill your race. So hopefully that happens to neither of our runners.
Yeah. Oh, we've been seeing a lot of folks who would do it in PB attempts not go for it because of how risky it is. So that we may very well see that here. We'll just have to wait and see when they get to that room in question. Yeah, meanwhile, Next Gen and Phazon both taking advantage of one of the other cool things the Charge Beam does, which is if you start charging a Charge Beam and then walk through a door, when you come out the other end of the screen transition, you automatically have a full charge. And on top of that, if you let go of the button while you're going through the door, you'll fire on the first frame. So it's totally possible to hold that button going into a door, let go, and then when you come out the other end, you will instantly fire a fully charged shot, which we can use in some cases to attack enemies that we know where they're going to be, or in a couple other cases to open gates that would otherwise be too close to the door to open without running into them, which is useful for using the speed booster later. And now they have the bombs, which you might remember from any other Metroid game are fun for blowing up blocks and also for bomb jumping, but not in this game. They made the timer for the bombs a little bit too long, so you can't really use them for bomb jumping, at least not in the same convenient way you would in pretty much any other Metroid game.
It also has a much smaller blast radius, so it makes placing bombs closer to blocks optimally. It makes it very hard because sometimes it'll show that it's like hitting the block, but it just won't blow up.
Yeah. But now they're just making their way through Sector 2 here, dealing with the Zoros on their way to the scary bit.
Coming up, there is a blue Zoro that does, I believe, like 80 damage, and they have to avoid it in order to grab a missile tank. And I've had many runs into that Zoro because I've been low on health coming into this room.
Yeah, actually, you saw there on Phazon's screen. He dropped a bomb trying to hit that top block, but it was just a little bit too far away, and it didn't blow it up. In Zero Mission, that would have totally hit the block, but not in Fusion.
And doing that allows you to not have to jump back up and bomb it afterwards, which unfortunately Phazon had to do anyways.
Yeah, you'll notice there's a lot of little optimizations that runners do in this game. Not getting them isn't the end of the world, but there's a lot of them throughout, so...
So coming up, we have a pretty RNG-heavy boss named Zazabi. Runners can get anywhere from 3 to 12 jumps, and it's complete RNG. The first pattern can be 0 to 2 jumps before he exposes his weak spot. Second part can be 1 to 4 jumps, and the third can be 2 to 5. That's assuming you don't miss a phase. And in order to move on in its next phase, it takes 1 charge shot and 1 missile. And for the final phase, it'll take 1 charge shot and 2 missiles to kill it.
Yep, and you'll also notice that Phazon just did this and Next Gen's about to do it. This eye door is the first of the ones where it's only a single hit. Oh, Next Gen getting that perfect eye door luck. And Phazon having a little bit of trouble there, getting the unpleasant hug from Sazabi.
Looks like he's got 6 jumps so far. So not looking good.
Yep. This is one of those situations where if someone is a little bit behind, getting bad Zazabi luck can totally put the other person back in the race.
I don't know if that was 10 or 11 from Phazon, but that was not good RNG. And it looks like Next Gen is basically caught right back up.
Oh
now,
no, Phazon didn't get enough hits.
That loses a bit of time.
Yep, and that's just enough to have Next Gen almost completely caught up now. Oh, but Phazon having a pretty good Core X, though. But Next Gen getting the first double hit, and let's see if we can get the other ones. Ooh, the double-double.
Separated by about 10 seconds, I would say.
Yep.
So pretty close race.
Oh yeah, the gap is closed a little bit, but there's still a lot of things left to do, and a lot more difficult movement and tricks to come. So,
Please save. Okay. Please don't go for it.
you think next gen's going for? No, you think next gen and Phazon are going for it?
I told them before the race to save if they're going for it. So hopefully they listen.
Out. Phazon is going for it.
Oh no.
Oh, he looks
like
good. He looks good. All right, he gets it.
Come on, next gen.
Next gen is not going for it.
Out.
That's all right. I can't blame him because the SAX is its AI is pretty dopey, but in all complete honesty, at this point in the game, it can and will utterly destroy you if you're not careful.
Yeah, I believe Ice Beam from it, and the Super Missile does 300 damage. So, if you take, I believe, if you take 2 Ice Beam shots and 2 Supers, you will die. And if you take 2 Ice Beam shots and only 1 Super, you live with 1 health, which is very scary. Which
I think we have seen in the race, and everyone is just holding their breath when that happens. Yeah, that's not the last we'll be seeing the SAX, but that certainly is one of the more harrowing times we'll run into it, especially if people go for the sack skip. With that, they're still really close, even with that skip, because it saves time. It saves a few seconds, but it doesn't save that much that it puts Phazon way ahead.
I think it saves roughly like 15 if
that much.
You do it optimally. But the next sector we'll be heading to is 4, because that makes a lot of sense. And this sector is filled with a lot of electrified water, which will do a bit of damage. I believe it's like 6 per second. So it's a little scary if you stay in it for too long, but since it's 100%, we already have 4 E-tanks. Compared to any percent, where at this point you most likely have 1 or 2.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where we'll be dipping into the water a couple of times to move through the rooms faster, but we're not going to be taking any extended dips. And fun fact, Sector 4 is also the only sector where coming down from the elevator, the door is on the left instead of the right. So you ever see someone going the wrong way, they probably thought they were in Sector 4. But that's not all about Sector 4 that makes it cool. So you know how we've been hyping up the charge beam before? You're about to see why it's so great, because Sector 4 has the boss that is the poster child for why charge beam can really give you an edge.
Yeah, so coming up, this boss in about 2.5 to 3 minutes here takes if you time it and position yourself perfectly, the boss will take 2 hits from the charge beam. Ceres, the boss, has 50 health, and charge beam does 26 if you hit it with both shots and the flare. So instead of the normal like 5 or 6 shots, I think you can kill it within 2, which saves a lot of time.
Yes, because normally otherwise, every time you hit it, it starts flying around the room very quickly, which wastes, goodness, I want to say the better part of 10 seconds every time. So you really want to be getting the 2 cycle. Thankfully, the first hit is free because the first cycle is always the same. But then you have to react to hit it the second time, and that's where someone who's experienced fighting Ceres can really save a little bit of time. So we'll see how that works out for Phazon and next gen.
Unfortunately, this energy tank is very, very far out of the way compared to any other item. So they have to take a quite large detour just for it.
Yep. Well, that's one of the cool things about Sector 4, though, is we do some detours like this earlier on, but it's also, if I'm not mistaken, the first sector that we actually get all the items in, once by the time we finish the run.
Yes. In this sector, you do not do anything here for cleanup. It is the only sector that you don't do anything.
You just pass through it as well.
You'll have all the items in Sector 4 about 10 to 15 minutes before any other sector, which is pretty cool. Yep. It really sucks, though, at the same time, because this is probably my favorite sector.
No, Sector 4 also has some of the most catchy tunes in this game.
Both the boss and the actual song are very good.
Oh yeah. I'm also just to kind of sit back and jam out in my seat when we get to Ceres, because Ceres' theme is just got such a good beat. But yeah, this is one of those climbs. There's a whole bunch. There's a handful of vertical rooms in this game where climbing it optimally looks really cool and feels really satisfying when you do it. This is one of those rooms. You'll see also see some of them in Sector 5 and Sector 4. Not Sector 4, Sector 3. Uh-oh, this is the Ceres tank, but that's a skeleton. Where on earth did Ceres go? Maybe this red pulsating door can give us the answer.
I don't know. I guess the answer is 2 beams.
The answer is 3 beams. Phazon, no. That's unfortunate. But here we go, it's time for Ceres. Top left hit is always free here. Looks good. Now he just has to line up for the second shot, and... oh, he's got... yeah, the thing is, the pattern... all of Ceres' patterns are in pairs. Ooh, didn't get the 2-cycle. So, if you see the first... if you see the first pattern in the pair, you can anticipate where it's going to be when it does the second half. And that's a trick that all runners use to try to set up for the quick kill.
Neither runner gets to hit, however, Phazon gets 3. See if next gen also gets 3.
No worries. Phazon also having some trouble setting up for the double missile here.
This is probably the hardest for the double missile with just regular missiles. It's a really tight area to get above a bit.
Yeah,
but
in my experience, it only really works if you take a brief moment to hang on the bars on the ceiling, which gives it just enough height to set it up cleanly, and it's still tricky. Especially if it knocks you in the water. It knocks you in the water, you're going to be taking a pretty serious time loss climbing back out.
Yeah. Phazon getting a Shine Spark there. If you miss that, you'll have to bomb the wall and then kill all the enemies so that you can charge up a Shine Spark. Next gen also barely getting it. That saves, I would say, like 15 seconds, overdoing it normally.
Yeah, but needless to say, thankfully, we now have the Speed Booster, one of the most useful items in the entire game, because not only does it let us run faster when we're going in a straight line, but it also lets us Shine Spark, which you may remember from Super Metroid, but it's gotten a bit of a makeover since then. Now it's actually easier to do it in all the directions, as opposed to having to do really tight inputs. And also, if you Shine Spark into a slope while going horizontally, you actually take off running again, which is actually used in a couple of puzzle rooms later on.
And also, Shine Sparking does not deal damage.
Yes.
Unlike Super Metroid, which is a very, very nice add-on.
Yes.
That would make some of the late game rooms very difficult if you can damage.
That's a decision I'm glad that they made. Although, unfortunately, one of the...
to be very Shine Spark heavy with kind of late game items.
Yeah, but to be fair, using Shine Sparks in this game is very satisfying, so it's a decision I'm glad that they made.
Oh, yeah.
Although, unfortunately, since you no longer have a dedicated run button, you can't do fancy tricks like short charge or 3 or 4 tap Shine Sparks. You just have to hold the direction until you start glowing. That's all you can do. But that's okay. It's more than enough to do a lot of really cool stuff throughout this run, and you will be seeing, with any luck, some very cool tricks later on with Shine Sparks.
Phazon opting not to go for low height. So, there's a very specific trick in this game where... so if you're standing on the ground, and you Shine Spark there, you will bonk on one of the platforms. But if you're able to shoot while still in the air, you'll actually start a Shine Spark lower on the ground, which will allow you to go under. And you can Shine Spark all the way across into the next 2 rooms. Which takes a lot of time at 80%, but only a slight amount at 100%.
Yeah, it's the same basic idea as... oh, I'm sorry. No, I was just saying that it's the same basic idea as what I was mentioning over as kind of shooting to cancel out of a somersault. The same theory that makes that faster for jumping around is why low height Shine Sparking works.
Mm-hmm. You're able to break out of a spin, which stalls a little bit, and then since your spin hitbox... oh no! Phazon!
Oh, no.
He actually hit no on the understanding the mission screen, which makes him scroll through the text again.
Oh, Phazon, no.
A lot of time.
Oh my goodness, and just like that, Next Gen has now taken the lead on text alone. That's unfortunate.
So in this next sector, Sector 3, there are quite a few really handy Shine Spark tricks. None of them save a large amount of time, but they're all small time savers that add up over time.
And most importantly, they all look really cool when you pull them off. So we're hoping to see Next Gen and Phazon both do them. Now, Sector 3 is, of course, the fire sector, because, of course, why wouldn't it be? And the first thing, we're going to have another one of those go find the key to unlock the doors thing again.
And also, one of the hardest missile tanks to get in the game. Only because of the exit. There's a very, very tight wall jump that allows you to get out of there, but for whatever reason, it's not easy to do. And slow strat is to jump out normally, except you'll have to wait for blocks to reform in order to progress, which wastes a bit of time.
They are literally at one room apart from each other, and that's just great. I like seeing races where they're both right on top of each other like this.
Mm-hmm. So neither of them get the frame perfect shine charge. So what you can do is, when you land on a platform with a speed boost, you have 1 frame to crouch and store the Shine Spark. And what that'll allow you to do in this room is to just Shine Spark across the top, rather than having to charge up another Shine Spark. In any percent, that saves a lot more time, but in 100%, you saw that missile that they grabbed. They have to grab that. And what you would have to do is you'd have to grab it on the way out, kill some enemies, and then start up a shine speed boost. Which I think getting the shine charge saves like a second or 2, but it's not really worth it for 100%.
Yeah, thankfully there are no spots in this game where that particular frame perfect shine charge store is necessary. Although there are a couple of spots where if you happen to get it, it can save you time, but in all those cases, the failing to do it loses you a lot more time than just doing the normal strats, so we don't.
Also, right there, on those speed booster blocks, you can break a speed boost block that's in the ground and store a shine spark before you actually go over it and lose the speed boost. And you can do that there, and in a few other rooms throughout the game, to save a bit of time by shine sparking up, usually a long corridor. And that's one of them, and that saves roughly 5 seconds, but it's a little tight.
Yeah.
We'll be seeing that later as well, with an actual setup, so it's a lot easier.
Most definitely. And now Next Gen and Phazon both getting one of my favorite upgrades, the Super Missile upgrade, because it makes all your missiles shake the screen and gives them the most satisfying explosion sound.
Mm-hmm. Now, the unfortunate thing with Super Missiles, while they do increase your damage, every single time you shoot, you actually have a longer cooldown in between shots, and your missiles fly slightly faster. And that happens for every single missile upgrade, all 3 of them throughout the game. And that'll make double missiles on Core X's and other bosses just very difficult in general compared to normal missiles. And by the end of the game, we're gonna be lucky if we see even 1 or 2 with the final missile upgrade.
Yeah, it basically forces you to learn 4 different timings for double missiles, and the later ones, aside from being different, are also just very difficult to get. But now it's time for Box, the robot that, for some reason, throws round bombs instead of square ones at you, but then again, what do I know about shapes? Phazon getting a perfect box fight, though.
That was a very, very clean fight. That's not an easy fight to get good at. I still struggle with it to this day, and I think I would consider it a pretty decent time.
Yeah, the problem with Box is the fact that its hitbox is in the middle there, and it's smaller than it looks. So hitting it at an angle, or even when you're above it, it's really easy to tink missiles. You saw Next Gen there, directly above it had a couple missiles tink off. It's very easy to miss.
Looks like Next Gen is having a bit of a trouble against this fight. It's not an easy fight at all, so not surprising.
Hopefully you can kill it further to the right, because wherever you kill it, it slowly walks to the right. So if you had killed it further left there, you would have been waiting several extra seconds for it to get into the position to jump out. So he had a lot of trouble there, and he lost a lot of time because of it. But now he is on his way back out of Sector 4. I mean,
So next,
yeah.
we can't really go to Sector 5 because that's an ice sector, and we don't have any protection against the cold. So instead, we have to go to Sector 6, which is the nocturnal sector, and there we can get something that'll help us not only be protected against the cold, but also the heat.
Yes, because the other big gimmick is you might remember heated rooms being a problem in Super Metroid. In this game, they still are, but since Samus is now part Metroid, cold is also just as dangerous as the heat. So we're gonna need to get the Various suit, and that's what we're gonna be heading off. They're gonna be heading off to get here in a moment. But of course, what is a Metroid game without another little wrinkle thrown in? And as the computer's going to tell us here in a moment, the X are getting smarter. They're trying new and improved shenanigans. They're giving you blue X parasites. They are X parasites that actually are trying to get caught by you and will freeze you from the inside, doing, I want to say, 35 damage?
35 or 40.
Yeah, and they travel in packs. So if you get stuck in a room with a bunch of them and they all start hitting you, you are going to be taking so much damage. You gotta be careful.
Yeah, this sector is pretty scary at any percent, but at this point, they already have 5E tanks, and they're gonna pick up a 6th one along the way here pretty soon. So, makes the sector a lot less scary, 100%. And also, after this boss fight coming up, this is probably the last chance that we'll see any of our runners have a chance of dying. So if they can get through here pretty smoothly, then we should not see a forfeit from either player.
Yeah. Shouldn't. Although there's still things that can kill you later on, but more often now, if we would have seen a death in a race, it would have been by now.
Oh yeah. It would have been before this point. It's very rare that, especially in 100%, someone dies in Sector 6.
Now, we're going to see right here on Phazon's screen, horizontal shine spark into a slope, and he just takes off running again. Always a fun little trick. I'm glad they added it. It adds a lot more things you can do with a speed booster. And, oh, we seem to have hit a dead-end room. I have no idea what the deal with this is. I guess we'll just have to go back to the left. Oh. Oh, no.
Also, now that was pointed it out, but as you saw earlier on Phazon's screen, and just a few seconds ago on Next Gens, they laid a bomb along the left side of that first room. What that'll do is on the way back, they're able to expose a little path with that bomb to grab a missile pack. And that saves a little bit of time, so you don't have to wait for the bomb animation. And I believe we'll be seeing it on the way back, as long as both runners remember, on the other side of the room, which will allow us to get an energy tank later on in the run.
Yeah. And we just saw there on Phazon's screen, he dealt with the SAX no problem. Thankfully, taking advantage of the SAX's AI there, if we let it take a couple of steps and then shoot it, it'll actually jump over us and we can just run through the room quickly, which is faster than doing what the game intends, which is letting it just very slowly saunter out the door itself and then following it. That just takes forever.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful. If you shoot it too soon, it'll actually shoot diagonally down at you. So that's hopefully Next Gen does not have that happen to him here. Okay, good.
And unlike the Sector 2 SAX sequence, this one's a lot less scary, because not only do you have a lot more health, but it's a lot easier to avoid it.
Oh, Phazon fighting the giant Core X, letting it get away from him a little bit, but he seems to still be in... Oh, he didn't get the 4 shots, but he got it in 5, it looks like. Nope, 6. Uh-oh, he's in the water, though. Yeah, this is another one of the fights where the charge beam and the flare are incredibly useful. If you do it right, you kill it in 4 shots. Although Phazon took 6 because he didn't quite get the flare hit on all of them.
I believe he hit 1 double there. So, like I said, with each missile upgrade, doubles become a little bit harder for each one. And by the end of the game, they're significantly harder than with the default missile. Also, it seems... Oh wait, never mind. I forgot that Next Gen skipped that 1 missile on main deck. That's why he's on missile pack short.
Yep, and Next Gen looks like he might get the 4. He got the 4 round. Very nice. Didn't get the double, though. Let's see if we can get some. Let's see if we can get it set up for a couple more doubles. Oh. He's taking an awful long time to set them up. I'm not sure if I agree with that. Because if you take too long to set it up, at that point you might as well just be hitting it with 2 singles. Let's see if we can at least get a sweet spot out of it. Not quite.
Got a little bit of saved a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But now, unfortunately, everybody avert your eyes for the next 30 minutes. We have the mustard suit. And it's not pretty.
Monkey, I looked right at the suit. I have, like, weird shadows in my eyes now.
I'm so sorry.
Seriously, though, what were the character designers thinking with this one? It looks so tacky.
It is definitely the ugliest suit in any Metroid game, by far.
Yeah. But on the plus side, thankfully, at least we get a benefit out of this. Those blue X's will now actually heal us instead of hurting us. We don't have to worry about heated rooms or frozen rooms, and if we run into the SAX again, and it hits us with the ice beam, we will not get frozen in place like you saw happen to Phazon when we did the sax skip. And I guess it also reduces damage, but you really wouldn't know because things start doing more damage pretty quickly in this game.
Yeah. Just as in any game, Very Suit does, like Crunchy said, add a bit of damage reduction, but in this game, enemies do a ridiculous amount of damage no matter where you are. So, this game is very challenging as a casual player, and even as a runner, it's still very challenging to finish runs without dying every once in a while.
It's true. You'll even see some top-tier runners take occasional deaths in any category. Just this game can, if you just start having bad time and just running into things, getting shot a lot, you will die.
So as you can see, again, they lay a bomb on the way out so that they can avoid the bomb animation, and we'll use that later to get a energy tank in about 30 to 35 minutes.
Yep, thankfully bombs continue to explode, both regular and suit and power, while you're picking up an item, and every little bit of time saved helps.
So now the racers will be heading off to Sector 5, which is the cool sector. This is not a super eventful trip. All we'll be doing here is unlocking security level 3, and also grabbing the ice missile upgrade, and we'll be heading out right after that. But then we'll head into the best section of the game.
Oh yes.
You all know what that is.
Oh, and if they don't, boy are they in for a fun surprise. But anyway, just throw a little bit of lore in here, because why the heck not? The gimmick here is that normally the Ice Beam is a staple power-up in any Metroid game, but much for the same reason that Cold hurts Samus now, she can't have the Ice Beam because it completely messes, it just goes against her DNA and all that. So instead, we have our Super Missiles will have an ice effect added, which increases a little bit of and gives you a little bit more damage. And we also, as Monkey also mentioned, gives you a longer cooldown between shots, but it also adds a freezing effect, which is useful for climbing around a couple spots, but more often than not just makes it so they're a lot less useful, because even if a missile does enough damage to kill something, it'll always freeze it first. So it always takes at least 2 missiles to kill something once you get the ice missile upgrade.
Which is why I think Super Missiles are much better.
Yes.
Overall. So Phazon, unfortunately, hitting the door before exiting. So we'll have to go back and try the time charge again. It loses a bit of time.
Yeah, one of the unfortunate things about the speed booster is you need as much. You can't shorten the space you need. You just need as much space as you do, and you just got to roll with it. And if that means going into another room, you just really hope you don't have to start it over, because otherwise that's extra screen transitions, and each one is what, 2 seconds?
Yeah, it's not fun to have to do multiple screen transitions, especially if you have to go back into a room and then you have to leave it again. It's an extra, 6 seconds from going in the room, then leaving the room again, and doing the movement in between. So it's not fun.
Yeah, certainly not. So you definitely want to be getting tricks for a lot of these, especially speed booster tricks, first try. We were talking about vertical movement. Phazon's going to be coming up into a vertical room now that's actually, when done correctly, is very cool to watch. So keep your eyes peeled on his movement in this room here. Oops. A little bit of trouble there, but manages to get out. And that was actually an example on Phazon's screen of buffering a shot through a door transition to open that gate, so that you don't bump into it when you're trying to get your shine spark.
Yeah, and that'll save a little bit of time, because you won't have to kill a crab, and you won't have to damage boost it through it either. You just speed boost it through it. You'll be seeing that in the exact same room, but in a different setting later on.
Now we have ice missiles. And Phazon's going to be immediately using them in a puzzle room here. First he has to kill the enemy. There you go. This is a recurring...
So, this is a... as Crunchy was about to say before I interrupted him by accident, this is a kind of a big theme with ice missiles in this game. You'll be killing enemies in rooms, and then using the X that'll respawn from them to have another enemy spawn in, to usually use them to freeze to get to higher places.
Yep, we actually saw it for the first time in Sector 4, although we didn't really mention it at the time, and we'll be seeing it again in, well, Sector 4, and then also in Sector 1. Because I think it's in Sector 1, either the main deck. I can never remember which sector that counts as.
I believe that's Sector 1.
Okay.
Just because it leads right back in without a transition afterwards, so... Oh yeah, by the way, everybody in chat, copy and paste what I'm about to post, and spam it for the next, like, I don't know, maybe a minute or so.
I'm not sure what's going on. I don't see anything weird aside from a flying shadow on Phazon's screen. What's... It's
about to come up. You gotta start a little bit early, you know. You gotta get ready.
I guess. Oh my gosh, what's happening on Phazon's screen? Everything's flashing red. Is this health low?
Emergency in Franker Z.
Oh my gosh, not in Franker Z.
So
well, the computer confirms it.
Yeah. What's happening right now is in Sector 3, there is a meltdown occurring, and we have to stop it for whatever reason. And if we don't stop it, then the ship will self-destruct and we die. So we obviously don't want to die, so we have to stop it.
Yep. So we have an emergency in Franker Z. We have 6 minutes to main Magoo explosion. We have to get ourselves over there and take care of it.
So we'll be going through a different area of Sector 3 this time in order to reach the control center, which will not only grant us our next upgrade, but also make us not die.
Not dying is definitely something you want to be doing during a race. And thankfully, how convenient that we have the Various suit now, so we can go into those heated rooms and not take damage.
We'll be seeing quite a few of those coming up.
So, yep, going into the very tall vertical shaft in Sector 3 that we saw earlier, we're going to be going down instead of up this time.
This is one of the most execution-heavy sectors of the run. This can vary by a lot, depending on whether or not you have good. A good time here is a really good time is like a 4:35, but a pretty good time for a run would be a 4:30 to a 4:25.
And we're going to be making full advantage of ice missiles with these wallworm things whose names I can never remember.
I think they're just called stretchies.
Stretchies? Okay, I'll take it.
So yeah, earlier we saw different versions of them. They were just green. This time they have eyes, and they shoot things. They're not friendly.
Now they can see you.
Coming up in the next room, we'll be taking advantage of the side hopper and freezing it, so we can just use it as a platform to get up higher really fast.
Oh,
based
yeah,
on getting
perfect
0
item.
beams.
Uh-oh, it's another Beam Corex, and now with ice missiles, that's going to be a little bit harder to get the double missile on this. I still have a hard time getting these. Well,
Fortunately, he was too far out to the right, so he gets no doubles, but looks like he'll get about a 417, maybe a 418, which is not a bad time at all.
and good call, it's a 418.
We'll have to see what next gen gets, see how much either run or lost.
And we'll see. Phazon now has the wide beam, though, which is, as the name implies, much wider and shoots 3 shots now instead of the 2.
So wide beam is even more broken than charge beam. It shoots 3 shots, and I believe it still has... It has the flare... Okay. I've never seen that before on Phazon's screen.
That was interesting.
But, anyways, I believe it either has a 6 damage flare or a 9 damage flare. I'm not sure, but when it has 3 shots, it'll do a lot more damage. So this time it does either 36 or 39 damage, which is a lot.
Yes, because every new, like I mentioned earlier, every new beam upgrade doesn't just make the beam more powerful, it also makes the flare more powerful. And let's see if we can get the fast climb here.
We see next gen getting 1 double and getting a 408, so losing about 10 seconds on Phazon. Still not an awful meltdown. Section is very difficult to get good at.
No, it most definitely is. There's a lot of things that can knock you around and can make you lose time during an emergency. But now that the emergency is over, if anyone's post-Frankerzy in chat, please time them out, mods.
So now, after we go to Sector 3 to stop the meltdown, we actually go back to an area that we haven't been to since about 6 minutes into the run. We'll be heading back up to the main deck for the first time, and one of the only times of this run. And this is to do something that I'm very against in Super Metroid.
What are you talking about? That makes this is what makes this one of the things that makes this game better than Super Metroid, because in this game you save the animals.
That's debatable. In this game it's okay, because it's mandatory. But in Super Metroid, it's not mandatory, so you gotta go fast. You can't save the animals.
But if you don't save them in Super Metroid, they wouldn't be here now.
That's true. That's the only reason why I would save the animals. It's just that this game can happen.
Which I say is a great reason to do it, because I really like this game.
And this game's okay.
But no, yeah, this... Time for some shenanigans up here on the main deck. Even on this short visit, we're going to have a couple of cool movement tricks. You might see, let's see if Phazon goes for Impossible Strat.
So, the same situation as we had in Sector 3 earlier on the trip to get super missiles. We'll see a setup for a trick, which will make it a lot easier. We'll be setting up a speed booster so that we can break a speed booster block and then also run over it so we can store a shine spark, which will make climbing a room like 10 seconds faster. So it's pretty helpful, and it's really easy to get as well.
Phazon not going for Impossible Strat, but you saw him doing something called a jump extend, which is if you're somersaulting through the air and you shoot, it actually stops your vertical momentum for a moment, so you can actually keep popping in and out of somersault to gain yourself a little bit of extra distance.
Yeah, it's very helpful to possibly save yourself if you miss a jump or are a little bit short, so you have to just get that extra distance.
Phazon has okay animals.
Not horrible. So the animals coming out of the door are complete RNG, and they can either be really nice or really mean, depending on whether or not you save them in Super Metroid. And since I don't save them, they're usually really mean to me. So, glad to see that Phazon got pretty good RNG there. We'll see what next gen gets, as he's going up there right now.
And in case anyone was concerned, I was watching Next Gen, he picked up that missile tank that he did not get earlier, so he didn't forget it.
Alright, good.
Oh, didn't quite get enough height on that jump, so he's...
That wall jump is pretty tight. I mean, I still don't go for it. Or I go for it, but I'd never get it. It's not easy at all, even with the jump extend.
Yeah, I often jump extend the first one, then just wait for the stretchy on the second one. Ooh, next gen.
Oh. So he let go of the Shine Spark too early. He was falling and tried to jump, and that activates the Shine Spark. So he'll have to climb up this room kind of slowly, which really sucks, because that room sucks to climb up. So he lost like 10 seconds there. And as you can see, the animals ran right past the door as he was opening it. So, unfortunately, I mean, he still has good animals, which is surprising, but those animals can really troll you if they do that.
Yep, unfortunately, the Shine Sparks and Speed Booster are incredibly useful, but it's very easy to accidentally activate them, because normally you jump with the somersault to avoid accidentally Shine Sparking, but if you pop out of it for whatever reason, and then press jump again, it activates, and there's not much you can do about it at that point.
So now, after that very brief visit to the main deck, we'll be heading right back down, back into Sector 5, picking up the power bombs, which are very helpful. And for whatever reason, they decide in this game to give you a lot of them.
Oh god, do they. 74 power bombs. Who on earth needs 74 power bombs?
I think they get to the 80% run with 10. So, whoever decided to throw in 74 power bombs instead of more missiles is... I don't know.
Well, I guess it's one of the downsides to the way the items in this game work. Since super missiles aren't a separate item, you only have 2 power-ups. You have power bombs and you have missiles, so you just wind up with a lot of both.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the other thing...
In case you didn't know, the final item total for this game is 20 energy tanks, compared to the 14 in Super Metroid. 74 power bombs, compared to, I think, the 50. And 250 missiles compared to the 230. And there's no super missiles, reserve tanks, or anything like that. And also, major items, as in the ones you get from Korexes or from the data rooms, actually do not count towards your percentage. So that's where they get the extra few missile expansions and power bombs from.
And that's also why 0% is possible, because you just don't pick up any of the missile tanks or power bomb tanks and only get the necessary upgrades, and that is 0%.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the big...
go for this tight wall jump. Looks like Phazon's not going for it. There's a pretty tight wall jump that you can do there with a few shot extends to make it across. Saves like only a few seconds, but it looks really cool, but it loses a lot of time if you miss it.
And you may have also noticed on Phazon's screen that the other thing about the power bombs is that, by golly, they are extremely loud in this game. That whoosh just blows out your eardrums the first time you hear it if you're using headphones.
Oh yeah. It's way louder than it needs to be. But in general, Fusion is just way louder than it needs to be. This is probably the loudest game I've ever played. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I don't think he's got the height on that power bomb, though. You want to drop the power bomb in this room as high as possible, because there's a second ceiling you have to blow out, but I don't think Phazon was high enough to hit the second ceiling. Nope.
No. That power bomb is very difficult to land. I've only ever gotten it a couple of times. It's really tight. It saves a lot of time if you can get it.
Yeah, because power bombs, like bombs, take a while to explode.
Mm-hmm.
And now let's see if Phazon does the alternate climb in this vertical room, or he's just going to do the same strategy again. Because the alternate climb looks really cool, but it's a lot trickier.
So you'll do the same strategy. So, with power bombs, there's actually a little bit of a ladder that you can blow up using power bombs on the left side. And it makes climbing up that room a little bit faster, but also a little bit harder to execute well. And also right there, you saw that he stopped a little bit after he climbed up there. That's so he could start his speed boost a little bit later, so that he doesn't start going faster before he hits the door, which allows him to not have to use the power bomb to break through that barrier. It saves quite a bit of time. Also, this room is the worst room in the entire game. I hate it.
This is a terrible puzzle room. Oh no, Phazon.
Phazon messes it up. That's extremely difficult sometimes. pretty tight jumps. It loses a lot of time if you miss it, especially on the second one because the Ripper has a wider radius. Do you follow?
Yeah. Thankfully, you could tell there that the rightmost block is actually not a crumble block, so you have a little bit more. So you're better off freezing it a little bit more to the left than you think you need to.
At least he gets it that time.
Yeah.
So that room is very, very easy to mess up.
Next Gen having a little bit of trouble climbing up, but looks like he makes it.
So now that we have power bombs, we can climb through this large room way faster, but you don't have to go all the way up and around. There's just a little convenient path to follow.
Shortcuts. And now we have power bombs. It's time to pay our second visit up to the main deck because the computer wants to talk to us back at the ship for some reason.
Next Gen, unfortunately, succumbing to the same fate as Phazon. Freezing the Ripper a little bit too far to the right, which makes it so that he either had to fail and try again, or had to wait for the enemy to unthaw.
Oh, again, that frame-perfect jump to avoid falling through at the end there, though.
Yeah. So, for crumble blocks, there is a frame-perfect jump that you can do to jump off of them. And we'll be seeing it used later for a powerbomb expansion, way later in cleanup, towards the end of it. And there's two methods to do it. Unfortunately, in this game, Spring Ball does not work how it does in SM. So, you can't just hold A and jump on the first frame, which makes that powerbomb much harder. So there's two different ways to get it, but both require a frame-perfect input, which is not fun.
Yep, that power-up in question during cleanup is one of everyone's least favorite power-ups to pick up in this entire run.
That's also probably the hardest segment in the entire run, with that item in it. It has a lot of very, very tight movement mechanics.
Phazon opting to go in on the right to get that missile tank instead of just dropping a powerbomb on the left, which I don't usually see in 100%.
So coming up, we'll be seeing Phazon lay down a powerbomb to break some blocks down in the bottom right, or bottom left there. He only got the top one, so he'll have to morph and spring ball up there. But what that does is we're able to use that on the way coming out of the ship in order to not have to powerbomb on the way back, which saves quite a bit of time. And now, as we can see, the animals have boarded the ship, so we're going to want to abandon this as soon as possible.
Why so much hate? Why so much hate?
So coming up, we have one of probably the hardest bosses in the run, called Yakuza, which is really difficult to get consistently good at, and it also has a slight amount of RNG. So hopefully we'll be seeing 4-round from both runners. That would be my favorite.
But it's an annoying boss.
It's RNG. So it's a spider boss. Also based on getting the swag jump of the E-Tank. So it's a complete RNG on whether or not the spider boss, Yakuza, will crawl up and down either 1 to 4 times. And doing it 4 times loses a lot of time, but it's complete RNG. However, if you get grabbed and then just mash left and right on the D-pad, you can actually get out of the grab. Which is what I believe both runners will be doing in order to manipulate it so that even if they get a 4-round, it's still way faster than just letting it crawl around.
First things first, you're going to see Phazon here jump up and shoot missiles, because once the screen shakes, you can actually hurt Yakuza before it even appears on screen. And Phazon looks like he might be taking safety strats here.
1 round. That's very good.
Now for the annoying phase 2, where it just randomly bounces around.
So you might be able to tell what You might be able to tell what upgrade you get from Yakuza now. You'll get the space jump, which is very helpful in this game. However, it does take away your ability to do wall jump, which is kind of bad at the same time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the good thing is though is wall jumping becomes pretty much irrelevant once you get space jump, because you'll be able to infinitely gain height as compared to wall jumping, where if you only have one wall, you'll only be able to gain a little bit of height. Also, based on getting one double, as we said before, with each missile upgrade, they get harder, so doubles on Yakuza and later are decently difficult. They're not nearly as hard as the final upgrade, though.
I will also add that the space jump in this game feels different than the one in Super or even in Zero Mission, and it takes a little bit of getting used to. I know I had a little bit of trouble getting it to work correctly at first, but once you get the hang of it, it works well enough.
Sometimes you'll even see top runners mess up the timing, because it's pretty awkward. You have to drop quite a ways before you can space jump again.
Oh, Next Gen haven't taken an extra round there, but no trouble.
No 4-round Yakuza. Feels
Thank
bad,
goodness.
man.
We do not want to see that.
So coming up, we'll have another kind of a scary section, especially if you're doing any percent or 0% or 1%. And 100% is not that bad, but you have a lot of health. But basically, we have another Sax escape section, and this is actually where I rage quit when I was playing casually as a kid. This is ridiculously hard if you're like trying to figure it out for the first time. But instead of going into that room next to there, where you're supposed to do and hide from the Sax until it runs away, or just walks away, you can just blow up the missile block and then shoot below you anyways to escape early. Saves a little bit of time. And we'll be placing a power bomb there to break those 2 blocks, which we'll be using during cleanup later.
There's a little bit of forward thinking, planning ahead. But now everyone gets to take a little bit of a breather, because we're coming up on what is essentially a 2-button boss, more or less.
Yeah. After the first part, and before the second phase begins. Basically, this boss coming up, you literally just hold R and spam B for a solid 15 to 20 seconds. And then after that, you hold R and spam B, and then tap A, or crouch sometimes. So this boss will give us another beam upgrade that can be better or worse, depending on how you look at it. If you stand very far on the right there, or sometimes if you stand very far on the left, it's way tighter over there though. The flowers just won't shoot at you, or at least one of them won't, which makes this fight 10 times easier.
And yeah, that was Notori. Hope you enjoyed it.
Getting
doubles on this boss is getting doubles in this particular Cortex is actually pretty difficult. I think I've done one ever.
Surprisingly, I actually think this Corex, this beam Corex in particular, is actually the easiest for me to get doubles on. I always seem to at least land one. When on the other ones, I'm pretty lucky if I actually land one. I don't know what it is about that one, but it's just pretty easy for me. So now we have Plasma Beam, which, instead of Wide Beam and Charge Beam, deals damage per frame. The Plasma Beam will do 27 damage per frame, which is both good and bad. So before, the Wide Beam did 36 damage with the flare. So the Wide Beam does more damage to bosses or enemies that have a flat hitbox. But if the enemy or boss has a large hitbox you can shoot through, then Plasma will deal a lot more damage. The Plasma will actually lose time in the next boss because he has a flat hitbox. Oh, apparently Wide Beam does 45 without the flare. Oh, I was way off. But that just goes to show that Wide Beam does that 45 compared to Plasma Beam's 27.
Since a lot of enemies are not tiny, if you shoot especially if you shoot diagonally through their hitboxes, the Plasma Beam can do a lot of damage because it just travels right through it, doing damage per frame, like Monkey said. So it's different, and in some cases it's better, but in a couple other cases it's not. But mostly, I'm happy to have the Plasma Beam.
Yeah. So, as you just saw on Phazon screen, we actually went a different route, escaping Sector 2 that time. The first time around, we went up and bombed some blocks, but that time we just went around and grabbed some missiles along the way. It's a little bit easier to grab them now that we have space jump and ice missiles and stuff.
Ooh, next gen getting the sweet spot though on that Corex. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
So, up next, we have the scariest boss in this game. This one will give you nightmares.
It's scary because no one really knows what it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Paul's more already starting to chant in chat for the trick that he and only he does.
So, in this game, there's this trick called space boosting, where basically instead of a shine spark, you can get a speed charge, so you're running fast, and then you can also space jump, which is faster than shine sparking. However, it's very difficult to pull off in some situations. And there's a very long shine spark coming up that travels between 5 rooms. But if you do a space boost, which is ridiculously difficult in this situation, you can go through 6 rooms. And it's also just faster because you won't have to start up your bonk animation. However, it's hard because going through broken doors, which we'll see in this next area, does not work how it's intended. In order to go through a broken door with a space boost, you have to have upward momentum, and you also have to be very, very close to the top of the door. So it's really tight to actually be able to get through all the way. And Paulsmore is the only person to go for it ever, pretty much. And he's gotten it somehow first try in all 3 of his tournament races.
Oh, Phazon, let's see if we can hit the missile on the drop here. Oh, he misses.
Oh, that's rough. He'll have to come back after he gets gravity suit, which spoilers is coming up.
Yeah. Thankfully, there's the thing about falling there is it's a relatively obvious visual cue, but still surprisingly easy to miss while you're falling. So.
There's 2 different visual cues for that. There's like this little thing in the wall, like this little hole in the wall. Then right across from that is where you need to shoot. Also, what I use though is there is a little black square behind that place, and I normally just shoot at that black square.
Yeah, that's what I do as well.
And Phazon also missing that power bomb there.
I think he may have put it too far to the right.
Yeah. I think it was also a little bit too low. Also, apparently... Oh no, coming from Phazon's preemptive message in chat, I think I know what he just messed up.
Oh, I think I know what he did as well. We'll see.
Also, according to Scotty in chat, you only need upward momentum going through the doors. And also, you can also freeze the little fish to get up there faster without gravity suit.
Oh, Phazon did exactly what we thought he did. He missed the energy tank.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, he misses both energy tanks, which loses a lot of time. There's an easier route for getting the one right before this boss, which, by the way, is a nightmare fight.
Oh, next gen getting that missile, so he doesn't have to come back. He got it.
Yeah. What is it? There's an easier route to get that one right before nightmare, but it loses like 5 to 10 seconds. But that ledge grab strategy that Phazon went for and unfortunately missed isn't that bad to get. I've only ever seen a couple runners ever miss it, and if they do, it's only once.
Oh, bad positioning on Nightmare though, a little bit higher than you'd like.
Yeah. So Phazon will have to come back, not only grab that one right before Nightmare, but also exit again and grab that one E-tank that he missed on the way in, even further back with gravity suit.
But Nightmare is done.
Yeah, next gen will save quite a bit of time from that.
Yeah, but especially if you can get that energy tank right before Nightmare.
Oh yeah. So
I don't know if it's enough to put him back neck to neck with Phazon, but it'll definitely catch him up some time if he can pull it off.
For sure. It'll definitely close the gap quite a bit. So now we have Gravity Suit, which finally replaces the eyesore of the various suit, and it not only that, but it's also probably the best looking suit in the game.
Absolutely.
But it also lets you go through water, which is kind of important. And oh no, Phazon forgot the Nightmare E-Tank.
Oh no, he did.
So he's gonna come back here, grab this E-Tank that he missed at the very beginning, and also, oh no, he forgot both.
Or maybe he's just getting this first. Uh-oh.
No. This is not good.
Oh, this is very bad.
So, he may be saving this during cleanup?
Oh, you're right, because cleanup does take you pretty close to where those are.
It's a little bit out of the way, but he will end up in Sector 5 during cleanup. But he'll have to go quite a bit out of the way to grab both of those, unfortunately. So I think that will catch NextGen up quite a bit.
Wait, did NextGen get the energy tank? I actually didn't see it.
Yes, he has both.
Okay. And let's see if we can get better positioning for Nightmare as well. Oh, he gets good positioning here, so he should be able to finish Nightmare right here. Perfect. That's exactly what you want to see.
So the way to lure Nightmare, I believe it will follow Samus, but it also has an invisible dot somewhere in the room. I don't know where, but it'll follow both at the same time, which is kind of weird. And to lure it, you want to have it high enough to where you can grab. You want to have it high enough to where you can grab the ladder and just aim right and just spam missiles. And if you can do that, it'll save a lot of time.
NextGen having a clean Nightmare fight. I think got one double on the core, so very nice. And they're both heading, and Phazon already there. NextGen heading into the most soothing part of the game, Underwater Sector 4.
I think this is probably my favorite part of the game. I think the music is really both mysterious, but also relaxing at the same time. I really like this area.
Oh yeah, no, this game does ambient music really well.
Yeah, this game has a very, very good soundtrack for, especially not even being music oriented, more just sound oriented.
Oh, NextGen doing a little bit of a swag trick there, which you might be seeing both do later. You may have noticed he space boosted through and then managed to actually open the door without popping out of the space boost, because if you're holding a charge while space boosting and you press the right shoulder button, which would normally use to fire missiles, you fire without popping out of the somersault.
That'll be used. I don't think we'll see it from either runner a lot in cleanup, but for doing the harder strats, there's a couple times you could use that to save quite a bit of time in cleanup.
Yeah.
Although those strats are pretty tight.
So you might see them, or at very least an attempt, because in those cases it never hurts to try.
Yeah. Phazon taking some extra times to take out his anger on the seahorse.
I always thought they looked like mini dragons, kind of.
I think that's what they're supposed to be, but I don't know. I've also noticed that they shoot out little cute things, kind of like Dragon does. So I think they're supposed to be, but I'm not 100% sure.
Could be. Well, Phazon coming up on a fun little Shine Spark trick here. The intended route is to go down below, charge a Shine Spark, and shoot up through the floor, but you have just enough space to get a Shine Charge and then horizontal Shine Spark through this green thing, and he gets it, but doesn't manage to recharge on the slope.
So what you can do there is hold right and recharge on the slope, and then charge a Shine Spark again, and then morph through the tunnel, and then grab that power bomb without having to come down through here, which will save quite a bit of time, as you won't have to Shine Spark down here.
Well,
it's a little bit tight though, so.
With that, Phazon is done with Underwater 4.
We're about to get our final missile upgrade, which will make doubles extremely difficult from here on out.
Yep, and it's an upgrade of debatable usability. There's only a couple spots where it's extremely useful. And not to mention,
pretty much, to explain it, we're gonna get, oh boy, Looks like Phazon was messing around, trying to get a trick called Secret Message. So, on the English version, that little guy is further to the right, so you're able to kind of exploit that and shoot a curve shot into there and freeze that guy. And what you can do is, if you do that before getting diffusion missiles, which that's the intended way to do it, is by charging a diffusion missile and then shooting that guy. You can get a secret message from Adam, and it's really cool. There's another way to do it that involves really tight shine sparks. Yeah, that way is not intended at all. And no, that is not possible in Japanese. That's actually the only in-game difference besides text between Japanese and English. In the Japanese version, that enemy is actually slightly more to the left, which not only loses half a second in-game time compared to English, but it also makes it that method of secret message impossible.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Unfortunately, Next Gen misses the shine spark. Yeah. He tried to jump during the turnaround, which makes you activate your shine spark. And he also broke through the speed booster blocks. So he has to drop down and now do it the slow way.
Unfortunately, oh goodness, I'm some trouble.
To explain diffusion missiles, basically they're a charge shot for your missiles. So you hold R, and if you hold it long enough and then shoot a missile, you'll have this like giant like spreading ice effect. So it's basically an area of effect ice missile, which is kind of cool, but it's not really useful like at all. There's, I think, less than 10 spots in the entire game where it's necessary to use.
And it also takes a lot longer to charge than the beam does.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, there at the very first time you get it, the first time you use it, you take advantage of being able to charge through door transitions to shoot that first one. Otherwise, you'd be standing there like a... For how many seconds does it take? It takes multiple seconds to charge a diffusion missile. It's pretty slow.
I think it's like 5 or 6 compared to like the 3 or 4 it takes to charge a beam.
Yeah. But with that, Next Gen also has diffusion missiles, so... Nope, Phazon taking advantage of that trick to open the door there. And he is on his way to fight everyone's favorite comically large console, the Xbox.
Yeah. So, now we finally see them picking up that E-tank that we opened up on the way out of Sector 6 the first time, about 40 minutes ago. But now we'll be off to fighting Box again. So our old friend. This time, though, he's been infected by the X. And how a security robot gets infected by a life-eating parasite, I don't know. But let's go with it. And this time around, it's a bit of a harder fight. For me at least. The ceiling is shorter, so every time he hops, he'll actually be able to hit you if you're close enough. But in the first fight, he was not able to do that.
Yeah, so two aspects of the box is you don't that firebomb that used to launch at you is no longer a thing. It just shoots missiles, which you can take out with the plasma beam, no problem. But unfortunately, with the room being shorter, like Monkey said, it'll knock you off just by hopping around. So one aspect is easier, another aspect is harder, and as to whether or not that makes it easier or harder than the first box fight, depends on who you ask.
Yeah. And this boss will hand us our final beam upgrade that I guess we're intended to get for right now, and that's Wave Beam. So it's basically just Plasma Beam, except slightly wider, a way cooler looking version of it, and it also can go through walls and gates, which is very helpful.
Alright, Phazon having a really good fight there.
Also, this is the only core in the game where pretty much for RTA, doubles are impossible. Doubles are extremely tight, and the tasks only barely get to them. It's very, 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 very hard, say with the short ceiling and also diffusion missiles.
But there we go, now we have the Wave Beam, which looks really silly in this game. I always thought it looked really weird.
I always thought it just looked like DNA.
Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it?
Colors.
In case there was any doubt, there is no entry without authorization.
Yeah. But we're just gonna go in anyways. Who needs authorization when you have the wave beam?
It's DIY authorization.
Exactly.
And in case you were worried, here you go. Have yourself some Metroids in a Metroid game.
Yeah, this is one of 2 appearances with Metroid. Also, Phazon getting the frame perfect shine charge, which saves no time. In fact, that probably loses time there.
And he came down just in time for the SAX's sweet rave party.
Hell yeah. Also, if you jump through that door, for whatever reason, those 3 Metroids just get lined up. If you don't jump through, then they'll just like be floating around randomly.
Oh goodness, that was such a difficult escape. Didn't think he was going to make it out alive.
So the optimal time for that escape is a 55, but those Metroids will break you out of your spin, making it kind of annoying. So based on getting a 51 there, losing a bit of time, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, thankfully, unlike Super Metroid, one of the things added to this game is that if you're jumping, pressing jump again will make you start spinning. So even if you get knocked out of it, you can go back into it, which is a feature that I've gotten used to it, and I'm not ashamed to admit. So when I play Super Metroid again, now it feels a little bit weird.
Yeah. So also coming up, this text box and the one after it, which we won't see for a little bit still, are the 2 longest text boxes in the game. So whenever we come to that point, we'll let you know. You can maybe go get a drink or something.
Or bake an entire cake. It's really long.
Yeah. We'll be there for, I think it's like 4 minutes on English or something.
Oh boy, it's an eternity.
Yeah. So coming up, we have everyone's favorite boss. Please max out your audio or we make it there.
I don't know. If you're wearing headphones, I mean, just so yeah. So this upcoming boss is like the boss equivalent of power bombs. You remember what I said about power bombs?
Yeah. This is everyone's favorite noise to listen to. Also, Next Gen seems to be having quite a bit of trouble on Xbox. Like I said, at least for me personally, this fight is 10 times harder than Box 1. So, it's understandable that he messes that fight up.
Oh, we're gonna see a little bit of trickery here on Phazon's screen. Those yellow pirates, you're supposed to shoot them in the back, but because of what I can only assume is a coding shortcut with the game developers, a game only checks to see if you're facing the same direction, assuming that if you were, you're behind them. So you shoot a charge shot and then immediately turn around, you can still kill them.
Yeah. So, as you said, the next boss is friendly.
It's excited.
Yeah, he just wants a hug. We'll be able to see him in a couple seconds here, and hopefully both runners will go for the strat battle. If only one goes for it, then they're the winner in all of our armies. No beams yet again. Phazon's getting very good either or left now.
And here we go. Everyone say hello to our friend
attempt.
Ridley. He is so happy to be here. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Phazon with a good attempt on the bomb in the eye. It was a little off, but I'd give it probably a solid 6 out of 10.
Yep, Ridley's so loud that Jagger can hear it without even having the stream turned on.
Exactly. So, with the Ridley fight, so Ridley's hitbox is a square. And as we mentioned earlier, Plasma Beam or Wave Beam does damage per frame, 27 damage per frame. So, since the diagonal of a square is longer than each side, instead of shooting straight up or straight across Ridley, you just want to shoot diagonally into him, and it'll do a lot more damage. And so, instead of just spamming missiles, we can do a charge shot and then a missile, which will make the fight a lot faster. Also, I'm not sure if I caught Phazon getting any doubles, but
He didn't.
Alright, with the fusion, it's very, very difficult to hit any doubles from here on out.
Yeah, getting getting even one double on Ridley is considered a victory. There's no shame in getting no doubles on Ridley. It's a very difficult to do at this point.
Also, that was a very awkward way of doing pacifist, but whatever works.
But with that, change to this music we're hearing now, Phazon is officially in cleanup.
So, cleanup. 20 minutes of straight execution. There are no breaks, no text, nothing. There's straight 20 minutes of the exact same music, with all just running around in between 5 of the 6 different sectors. We'll be going to all 6, but we only need items to find them, to pick up any items that we may have missed throughout the actual story of the game. And then there's one item left on the main deck, which is actually the last item we'll get.
Yep.
So,
thankfully, one of the things about this game is that we haven't seen it yet, but there are actually hidden passageways that will actually connect to the sectors that happen to go back up to the main deck to use the elevators. And we will be using them, starting here with Sector 1, to take them in pretty much reverse order, more or less.
We go from sectors 1 to 3 to 5, and then from 5 we go to 6, and then we go to 4. We don't need anything in 4, so we're able to just drop right back down into Sector 2, and then we'll end up back on the main deck.
Interesting climb strat from Phazon. I don't think I've ever seen someone climb that room that way.
So, you can either just climb up on the ladder by using a thing called ladder climbing. A little bit of a dull name, but that's what it is. You pretty much just jump off of a ladder and then just grab it again, and it's faster than just space jumping up. You can also shine spark up, which I believe is like right in between the two.
Yeah, because it's a short enough vertical shaft that if you shine spark, any time that you would have gained is lost from the wind up and bonk animations.
Yeah. Next gen doing the bomb strat with a power bomb, so it was about the same as Phazon, but I'll have to give extra flag points for the power bomb, so I'll give him a 7 out of 10. There are 4 next gen wins this race in all of our hearts.
Well, I don't know. I guess there's still a couple of tricks left that can totally turn around the sway of the public's hearts. We'll see.
I suppose. We'll have to see who gets the famed frame-perfect powerbomb first try in Sector 6.
Ooh, yes, there's that. And there's also, see if anyone wants to go for the swag space boost during Sector 6 cleanup as well.
Yeah, so pretty much every single hard strat in cleanup is in Sector 6. It's by far the hardest part of the run. Sector 6 cleanup is.
Especially if you do it quickly.
Yeah.
Alright, and with that, both of our runners have finished all the normal boss core X's. And Next Gen is also in cleanup.
So here's where I got tripped up earlier. Phazon's heading into the safe room with a little passage behind it, kind of like where we got Cesaris from. And you climb all the way up, and there's a missile bank. You could actually get that way earlier on our first visit to Sector 1, but you would have to wall jump all the way up, and also it's just slower in general to get it done. So you'll see that kind of theme a lot throughout cleanup, where there's items that we could have gotten much earlier in the run, but we didn't just because it's slower.
Yeah. And Phazon trying to get the quick trick there using the R button to shoot to go through that door while you're still space boosting. Didn't quite get it.
So that'll save a little bit of time, so you're able to obviously keep a speed boost through. You can also shine spark through there, which is like right in between not doing anything or space boosting. And you'll grab the first missile pack no matter what, and then you just have to jump up to the second one.
Yep, that room being a room rich with treasure, having 3 power-ups in it.
Yeah, I think that's one of like 2 rows in the game, if that. That might be the only one, I'm not sure.
It's the only one I can think of, so if someone else can think of another one, by all means let me know, because otherwise that's the only one to my knowledge.
So you may see the runners, as Phazon just did, pause near the end of the sector cleanup. That's just to ensure they have all the items there. Because if you have a New Game Plus file, it'll tell you whether or not you have all the items in an area by just giving you a check mark.
Yep, and you want to be checking this at the very least before the final time you go into a navigation room, because at that point you're locked out from the sectors, so... Oh, Phazon accidentally not killing that ground enemy, now having to turn back around to get the speed charge.
Yep.
Ooh.
Also missing that space boost. So unfortunately I have to go all the way around. So again, this is just another case where you could grab this way earlier in the run, but it's just not worth it.
Having a little bit of trouble lining up the screw attack to break those bomb blocks. I'd almost be willing to... Yeah, there we go. Drop the power bomb. Alright, and next setting up for this Sector 1 Shine Spark here, which is a costly one to miss. Because if you miss it, you have to do 4 more door transitions. So you really don't want to miss this one. Let's see if you can get it at first try. And he gets it, no problem.
Yep, looks like he's good. That's one of the hardest energy tanks, personally. It's just kind of annoying, especially if you miss it once. You're losing a lot of time.
I also used something on Phazon screen that I don't think we actually mentioned, that power bombs, when they explode, they make a loud sound, but they also shake the screen. You can't actually ledge grab while a power bomb is exploding. So in a couple of spots you might see them drop the power bomb earlier, because if they take too long to drop it, then they're just gonna have to wait for the explosion to end before they can climb up.
And also in that room, I don't know if Phazon went for it, but that's really the only spot where a bomb jump is useful in this run. Well, one of the only spots, and the only one that isn't in Sector 2. Basically, if you lay a power bomb down there, and then you lay a bomb down, you can actually hit a kind of a tight bomb jump, so you won't have to wait for the power bomb to explode, and then finish exploding, grab the ledge. It saves like 2 seconds, but not only does it look cool, but it's the only spot where it's useful, really.
Yeah, like we said, bomb jumping is something that's just not really important in this run the way it is.
And yeah, this game has 0 sequence breaks, so...
Yeah, unfortunately, the computer that gives us all the information, all those dialogue boxes, divided the game into events. It's the event system, it's called. And we have not been able to figure out a way to break it. It's just... Everything is just so tightly locked into that sequence, you just have to do it the way the game says you do it. And yep, Phazon getting one of the more out of the way items in Sector 4 here, getting pretty close to where the emergency was to get 1 power bomb tank before heading out of here on his way to the next sector.
So this is one of the most out-of-the-way items. It's the only item on this side of the shaft, but it's 100%, so we have to get it anyway.
Yep. Let's see if Phazon does the cool-looking climb here. Oh, which I mean, accidentally killed a stretchy. It's fine. Yeah, it's the thing about the screw attack. It's very easy to accidentally use it to destroy things or kill enemies that you're not trying to destroy or kill.
Yeah. So it looks like Phazon has a bit of a trouble getting up that second half of the shaft, but he's out now. So we'll be heading to a final area of Sector 3 cleanup, which we do 1 Shine Spark to get to, and then we're pretty much done. Sector 3.
Oh no, Phazon taking the bonk.
That's rough. So now they'll have to run across this room, which takes a long time. This is one of the longest rooms in the game. Especially without a Shine Spark.
Yeah, normally you definitely want to be Shine Sparking there. And we take advantage of that freeze frame there to blow up the wall. Because if that power up weren't there, you would not be able to just run across like that and get the Shine Charge before the bomb.
And now, coming up is probably the most unique item placement in this game. In one of the passages in between sectors, there's actually a power bomb tank just above one of them, which is really creative. And it's really nice that it's just along the way for us. So Sector 5 is the shortest sector for cleanup, besides Sector 4, which we get nothing in. I believe there's only 5 items that you get But all of them are pretty much along the way.
Alright, now Phazon has to remember to get the items he did not get during Nightmare.
Oh, that is true.
Okay, there he goes.
Two. He missed both the one right before Nightmare and also the one where you had to shoot a missile in the wall. So he'll for sure be losing a bit of time here to next gen.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll be enough to catch up at this point. But we'll see throughout the rest of cleanup.
Yeah. It's definitely a pretty sizable detour, so it just depends on how good next gen's movement is getting to this point, because Phazon, aside from having to take this detour, his movement has been very clean so far throughout cleanup.
Fortunately, you remembered both, and not just one of them.
Yeah. The Nightmare
So we
one
will
is
be
definitely
seeing
a huge
100%,
detour.
most likely.
Yeah, we'll definitely know when the final screen comes up, but
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't miss it this time, or he just takes the slower alternative, which
nope,
he
he's
does not.
okay.
He got it. Okay.
Yep, dropping the power bomb to show us the way you're supposed to get it, which is by approaching from above. But if you unmorph in it at the right time, you can just do what he did right there.
Yep.
Ooh, next gen dropping the speed booster there, so he does not get to do the space boost through this room. I haven't seen that one in a while. It's a little bit tricky to get.
Now Phazon is heading back to the main area, Sector 5, to finish up the cleanup the intended way.
Yeah, I think he's going to be out of Sector 5 by the time next gen even gets to it, so he gained back some time, but it's not going to be enough unless Phazon has a really bad Sector 6, I don't think. Or Sector 2.
Next gen's gonna have to play very well, and Phazon's gonna have to pretty much choke away the lead at this point for a comeback.
But it could totally happen. Like we mentioned, Sector 6 is the hardest sector in cleanup.
Yeah. And 2 is not easy either. 2 is also very difficult. Phazon opting to go for a space boost there. Normally you would just shine spark that and open the door beforehand. But space boosting, I don't know if it's actually faster in that situation. And if it is, it's by a very small amount.
I'm not sure if it is just because normally you would just be shine sparking from the far right. So if it is faster, it's going to be a negligible difference, I'd think. Okay, Scotty letting us know that space boost would in fact be slower there. But I guess if you miss getting the charge to do the shine spark at that point, it's the best backup strat.
Yeah. So on to Sector 6. This is a very, very, very difficult sector. Both hard strats and easy strats. Either way you look at it, this is not an easy time.
Oh, NextGen getting that Shine Spark to get out of Sector 3, though, so he's going to gain a little bit of time back there. And Phazon opting for the Shine Spark strat here, because it's actually faster to do a space boost there, but it's also tricky because you got to go through 2 doors.
Yeah. So there's actually a couple different strats you can do in this room. One is you could space boost, and then another one is to do that strat that Phazon did. But you could also jump through and shine spark, and if you do that and you have enough height, you can bonk on the top part of the platform with that top power bomb and just fall straight down and do the backup that Phazon did, which you just shine spark straight up at a certain spot. So either way you look at it, if you get it first try, the space boost saves like 10 seconds over all other strategies. But like doing it the normal way is really slow. So yeah, I would recommend not doing that. Also, next gen, forgetting to open the door.
Oh no, next gen. That's a mistake I think everyone makes at least once.
Yeah. That's a sad one too, because that loses a lot of time, and you just bonk on the door, which is really sad.
Alright, Phazon getting up to get one of the power-ups that you really don't want to mess up trying to get. Okay. Because the game intends you to actually shine spark straight up there, but if you do that, you get locked into a navigation room.
Yeah. And then we'll have to go through the really long text with Adam, way earlier than we kind of need to, and then we have to go all the way back around through Sector 1 again, all the way back around to Sector 6, finish up cleanup.
But thankfully,
a little bit too far right, to be honest.
Next Gen. Okay, Next Gen almost went the wrong way there. He had me a little bit confused, but he figured out what he was doing.
So
here we go.
Coming up, we have the frame perfect power bomb.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
The game intends you to freeze enemies, but we don't do that. Yeah.
So there's two ways to do this. So first, you can just do a spring ball jump. So you just hit A on the right frame, jump off the crumble block. But sometimes that just doesn't work either. But you also can unmorph and then just space jump. And I think for whatever reason that one's a little bit easier for me at least. But I know many people do many different strategies to get that.
Yeah, it's really it's whatever works for you. Some folks are better at some strats than others, and as long as you can get it consistently, that's it. Especially in a game like this, it's definitely preferable to just always trying to do the quote-unquote optimal strat.
Yeah. So right now we're actually seeing Next Gen, I think, catching up quite a bit. Mostly thanks to Sector 5. The mistakes that Phazon made much earlier in the run. I would say they're roughly 2 minutes apart at this point. So we have a fairly close race this late in. So.
Oh, Phazon, not quite. There we go. Didn't quite get drop the bomb in the right spot. A little bit too far to the left, I think, but he gets it.
Now there's another strategy you can do there. Just space boost into that room and then all the way across it. So you won't have to do the bomb puzzle until on the way out. But that's really difficult. Yeah, Phazon runs out of the door without charging his Shine Spark or doing his phase boost, so he'll have to redo the bomb puzzle and escape that way.
Yeah, he tried crouching a little bit too late because I saw him just run off the ledge at full speed. There we go. He's almost done with Sector 6, thankfully. Oh, Next Gen having no trouble getting that power bomb tank. So now he is on his way to the frame perfect power bomb.
If he gets that first try, we could definitely see an even closer race at this point.
Yeah, although at this point there's not much left to grab, so like you said, Phazon really still has to choke this away in order for Next Gen to make a comeback at this point. Or potentially soft lock, because there is one soft lock that can happen right at the end.
Yeah, so not only is there Sector 2 cleanup, which is definitely possible to choke in, I'm speaking from experience, there is a soft lock potential on the second to last boss, which we won't see for another couple minutes still, but you could soft lock both on the first form and the second form.
Next Gen getting it first try.
Yeah. Unfortunately not on the way back, but that's not that big of a deal. Hallsmore is famous for being the king of soft locking there. So hopefully both runners will save before then to avoid a slim chance, but
we'll see, but PhazonKnight on his way to another popular room for people playing this game casually, Crumble City. He's dropping a power bomb so you all can see that this room is just made of crumble blocks. And there are 2 power-ups you have to get here.
Yeah. I think the power bomb is way harder, because on the E-Tank, there's little blocks, solid blocks, you can jump off of at the bottom there.
Oh my goodness, Phazon,
My.
Phazon, my heart.
Oh my.
What a recovery. Wow.
That was sketchy.
But he pulled it off. By golly.
And that's why that room is not fun. That's another room that I really hate.
Yeah, there's one other room actually that I would say I hate more than Crumble City and Sector 2, and it's the because it's another one that involves crumble blocks and frame perfect jumps.
Well, they're not frame perfect, but they're definitely not easy to get.
Yeah, I know I do it sometimes, and a lot of other folks will do it too. Well, they'll actually just opt to use the diffusion missiles to get through there, and that's fine.
It's only slightly slower, but
yeah.
And that room is coming up in like 3 rooms, so we'll see it then.
But Next Gen now doing his very quick fly through of Sector 4 here, about to be in Sector 2 as well. He's not that far behind Phazon, but just there's so little game left at this point.
Although
Phazon opting for the slow strat.
Yeah. So basically, what you can do is you can trigger the combo block, and then tap A once to spin, tap A again to jump, and then you do the exact same thing twice over, and you can get across without having to freeze these enemies. Freezing does make it a little bit easier though, if you're able to just morph under and use them as a platform.
Alright, so Phazon managing to make it work, losing a little bit of time there, but that's totally okay. On that room is not fun. I don't like that room.
Yeah, Next Gen falling through the longest column in Crumble City.
Oh! Next Gen, no! Next Gen, I believe! Come on! Oh!
No!
Oh no, Next Gen.
Unfortunately, not clutching it out, but...
Yeah, Crumble City can be very unforgiving if you can't recover from the crumble. No! Next Gen, no!
And he does the exact same thing.
Oh no!
Alright, so Phazon at this point is on the final stretch. We have 3 more expansions to grab, and 2 of them are very quick next to each other, and then the final one is right before the final area.
Yeah. Alright, there we go. Next Gen finishing up Crumble City and being on his way. I'm sure happy to bid that room farewell.
Yeah, that's a not fun room. Definitely one of the worst in the game. And here we finally see those power bomb blocks that we bombed almost an hour ago at this point come into use at the very end of the run. And that'll make also a nice shortcut on the way out.
Yeah, Phazon about to, we talked about earlier about puzzle rooms with shine sparks in the slopes. The game actually graciously shows you one during what you're opening during the demos, and this is the room right here, actually.
So we'll be storing multiple shine sparks on multiple different slopes to climb up this room, as there are speed booster blocks at the very top of it, hiding a power bomb expansion. And actually, there is a tight trick where you can actually store a shine spark on some crumble blocks, which will save a bit of time having to store another one. We'll see if Phazon can get it.
Oh, he's not going to get it. Because you literally have to, because you have to both get that and also fall optimally. Otherwise, your charge just doesn't hang on long enough. It's a very difficult trick, deceptively difficult.
Yep. And so he barely gets it, only hitting the top block. And with that, sector cleanup is complete. The only item remaining is 1 power bomb expansion on the main deck.
Oh, Next Gen falling in the gap between the 2 frozen rippers. Oh my goodness.
That sucks. Let's see if we can get it second try. It looks like he's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
So he gains a little bit of time on Phazon, back on Phazon in that room.
And so now we see those unpower bomb blocks breaking through them again. And yeah, now we're heading back to the Sax escape that we had earlier. And then we're able to escape right back out to the main deck from Sector 2. It is really convenient.
Yep. And getting to see the main core room after the plants are gone, which is something you don't usually do when you play this game casually.
Yeah, this is the only category in which you see it in any speedrun. Unless you count 100% hard and easy, but...
Yeah, I hope Phazon did not. I hope Next Gen has not managed... Okay, good. I have an annoying tendency to get lost and go through the wrong doors when I'm leaving Sector 2 here during cleanup. I'm not sure why. Pardon me. PhazonKnight heading to the final room, though. This is the final pickup, this power bomb tank. And what? When did he find the time to lose 72 power bombs?
I don't know.
That's the sort of nonsense I'd expect from Paulsmore.
Yeah, so at the end of the game, you'll end up with 1 health right before the end. So a thing that a lot of runners like to do is get their missiles and power bombs down to 1, so that they can have 1 health, 1 missile, and 1 power bomb. Just for fun. Also, if you want to go get some food, use the restroom, you know, whatever, now's the time to do it. We got 4 minutes of text.
Oh, next gen getting the unbuffered on the crumble block, but unfortunately not falling down quickly enough.
Yeah. And also uses the shine spark on the way down on accident.
Oh, it's unfortunate because getting that unbuffered is actually very difficult.
Yeah. So it looks like next gen is in the clear. So all he needs is his final power bomb expansion on the main deck. So glad to see that both runners will be finishing with 100%.
Absolutely. Boy, that's a lot of text on Phazon's screen, though.
If they were playing on Japanese, it'd be a few less paragraphs. I think Japanese in this cutscene alone saves a minute.
Oh my god.
Pretty ridiculous.
Why are there so many words in my Metroid game?
You could play SM like 30 times and not have nearly this much words.
It has a little bit of words at the beginning, and that's it. That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ceres Station, Planet Z-Piece.
Oh my goodness. But oh yeah, I hope you guys weren't worried about spoilers. It turns out the computer is actually the mind of Adam Malkovich stored in the computer. Shocker, right?
What?
Yep. Looks like someone took our recommendation, grabbed himself up some bread and cheese during that enormously long cutscene. Good. Actually,
Yeah.
I kind of wish I had some too. I'm feeling a little bit hungry myself.
So now we go right back to where we got missiles. This time to end the game. But first, we get stopped by an old friend.
Yep. Instead of getting a power up, we just get a fight.
Yeah. So here we have the final fight versus the XAX, in which we'll see a stun lock on the first phase. You can do it both diagonally or horizontally. Diagonally is a bit faster, but I think horizontally is much easier.
I honestly I need more practice. I actually can't quite do either of those. I can't quite fire my missile fast enough to keep it stun locked.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as it looks.
It's a little tight, yeah. This is the hardest core to double, by the way. It's not only a beam core, but you also have the fusion missiles, and you also have to space jump up, and then drop on it, which is not easy.
Yeah,
but Phazon, I don't think got any doubles there.
Doesn't look like it.
And instead of hitting the core, it just runs away. But that's okay, because we don't really need anything else. We can just kind of set off the self-destruct mechanism and just run.
Oh, does Phazon have enough time to fire 45 missiles before he gets to the final boss?
I don't know. It'll be tight.
He's gonna have to optimize his missile wasting.
35 left.
It's gonna be close. On top of that, he also has to try to get the low height shine spark.
Yeah, so there's one low height remaining. It saves like 3 seconds. It's not too major, but it's nice
really
to
cool.
just get it. It's nice to get at the end of the run, and yeah, it looks pretty awesome. No zigzag. SMH.
Oh well. Hey, maybe he'll go for Pogo.
Ooh.
We haven't seen that one in a while. That'd be cool to see. And he did it. He managed to use all those missiles. So let's see how much swag he can get in this last couple of rooms here. He jumps through the door instead of shine sparking. That's not what you want to see.
That sucks. But as we're about to see, he's about to have 1-1-1. But at this point, I'd say it's pretty determined. looks like Phazon will be the winner of this race.
And wait. Oh,
Oh, no pogo.
no pogo.
Sorry, he can still go for floating Omega.
Well, he might. Let's see what he does.
So basically, pogo, if you get him to attack you, while you're behind him and he's in the air, he'll just infinitely jump, and it looks really funny. But if you miss that, then you can go for what's called floating Omega, which basically, if you kill it while it's in the air, it'll literally just float as it dies. Which is really
Well,
fun.
next gen trying for the horizontal stun lock, not quite getting it, accidentally knocking the SAX off the platform. So going for backup strats on the ground level.
And with that, Phazon got the stun lock on Omega and finishes with a final time of 2:00:22.
Official SRL time of 2:00:26.
Not bad at all.
Not at all. GG to PhazonKnight.
Next gen will be finishing no more than 3 minutes behind him, so not a bad race at all.
No, not at
Very
all. This
close
is
to
definitely
finishing.
closer in some races, closer than it's not super close, but by golly, it's, in a race this long, it's good to see one that's not 10 minutes apart, you know?
Yeah. And we'll be able to confirm if next gen has 100% right before the final boss, but Phazon does have 100%.
And next gen needs to... Someone's gonna need to bring him in here, because I don't have the authorization to drag him into chat, into a commentary channel.
Oh yeah. Do we know if Phazon wants
There
to
we
do
go,
an
we
interview?
got him. Hey, next gen, congratulations, GG on that run.
What's up, next
Wait.
gen?
Next gen, dang it, I'm so bad at my job. I'm sorry, next gen. Wait, what? I'm so confused all of a sudden.
Next gen's in the voice channel, but
He's
not
not done
talking.
racing yet. Why is he? My God. Well, I can just go. I think I can just go lie down and cry myself to sleep now, because I'm never gonna top that gaff right there.
Ouch.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see if next gen can get low height.
And doesn't quite get it.
Still gets the Shine Spark though, so
Yeah.
saving the small amount of time over Phazon.
And
Also get Pogo.
I don't think he's gonna go for it. But on the plus side, since Next Gen has more missiles and power bombs, when he picks up the Core X, we'll be able to see for sure that if he has the 250 and 74.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see PhazonKnight anywhere in the voice channels, so unless he pops in there, we can't really talk to him, so he might show up, we'll see.
Also, next gen does have 100%. A little bit too
Nice.
close, unfortunately, for the stun lock. So we'll see, I guess, a more intended fight.
Hello,
Yo,
hello.
PhazonKnight, there you are.
That was awful. Oh my god.
Congrats on the win.
Thanks. I really didn't. That was terrible.
Congrats, Phazon, and Next Gen, I'm so sorry I got your hopes up there with my talking.
You didn't get my hopes up at all, because I had the hex chat open, so I knew he finished, so I knew what had happened.
Okay, it makes you feel...
But my mic was muted, and I was gonna be like, you got the wrong guy, but like I was running, and there was no way I was gonna lift up my finger to push that mic up, so I was just like, they'll figure it out in a few seconds.
So next gen finishing with a final race time of 2:06:29.
Well, that race was actually
Oh,
not as
no.
spread out as you might think.
I was about
My
to say,
bad.
it was 204 something.
2:03:35. I was reading the wrong thing.
Yeah, so barely over a minute apart.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about that? What do you guys say about what was good? What was bad? What do you want to what do you wish had gone differently?
My drill movement was just sloppy. I mean, I didn't really have any. I don't remember really any big mistakes. It's just my movement was just really sloppy for the whole run.
My movement was awful. Forgetting those two E-tanks in Sector 5. All the screw-ups on Zazabi. Oh, man.
Well, to be fair, Zazabi is never nice to anyone ever, so...
Yeah, but, like, I tinked, like, 3 rounds.
The Zazabi fight actually went perfect, so I was pretty happy about that. Other than, like, having really terrible RNG with 10 jumps, but I mean, the actual fight itself, my execution was on point, so I was pretty happy about that fight. Just wish I could have had better
That's always
RNG on
good.
it.
Is this where the party is?
It may very well be. What are you bringing to it?
Soda?
Good enough.
Oh wait, I'm out of soda. I got to get more.
My god, he just chugged 3 2-liters. But yeah, that Phazon has the confirmed 100%, and we're just waiting to see what next gen. If next gen has it for sure, we know he does. We saw his item counts, but if anyone's willing to just take your bets, what his clear time is going to be, by all means, give them to us in chat.
Was the race pretty
All
close
right.
the entire time?
It really was, yeah.
Yeah, I would say the major separation was roughly like 30 to 45 minutes was when I saw PK definitely pulling apart, and then missing the 2 E-tanks really brought it close again towards the end.
I thought you meant it was 45 minutes behind.
That's a pretty big gap to close.
I don't think
No,
that's even a feasible
it was like
gap to close.
I think 5 to 6 minutes apart by that point, or not by that point, but that was like maybe like an hour 20 in by that point. It was like 5 to 6 minutes, and then definitely during cleanup, I feel like next gen pulled it together and definitely saved quite a chunk of time.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of time gained back during cleanup.
I think if I had gotten Crumble City the first time, it would have been like a minute or 2 closer, because I definitely lost a lot of time at Crumble City.
Yeah, Crumble City was not treating you well, and it didn't treat Phazon well either. He did like what, quadruple recovery, falling through the hole how many times?
It's killing me.
Yeah, that was really clutch.
Yeah, that was.
I know I got like a lot of the frame perfect jumps off the blocks to recover, and
Well, I PB'd in-game time by 3 minutes, so...
Nice.
Nice, congratulations.
And
I just
speaking
realized-
of frame perfect things, Phazon messing up the frame perfect power bomb in Sector 6 cleanup a couple of times, but next gen actually got that first try. So that was another major time save. I think like 20 seconds or so.
The one where you had to do the crumble jump.
Yeah, the crumble jump.
I missed it like 4 times in my last race, so I was like really happy when I got that first try too.
Nice.
Barring Crumble City cleanup was really nice to me.
I don't think my sum of best is right anymore.
And I also just now realized my tech smashing was worse this time around than it was in my last race, because I PB'd RTA by 2 minutes 54 seconds, my in-game time improved by 3 minutes.
Tech smashing can make a world of difference in a race, but you're not really going to see that in the IGT. But
pretty much the only way you can tell if you did worse on tech smashing is if your in-game time PB improves more than your RTA. That means your tech smashing was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But,
so, sounds like we had our next fusion race in about 50 minutes from now. I'm not sure what channel it'll be on, but
it's on this channel.
Happening kind of soon. Is it?
Yeah.
All right. So definitely stick around if you're down for more fusion. That'll be starting within the next hour. But yeah, congrats to both runners.
Yeah, it's not going to be anywhere near as close as you guys' race is, because Hercules is bench press is a much better player than I am. But hey, that doesn't mean I'm throwing out the towel yet. I'm going to go in there and, by golly, try to do the best I can.
You
You never know. I mean,
really
you
sucks at this game.
came out on top over Mickey last race, so you never know.
To be fair, that's just because he forgot a couple of items. Otherwise, he had me beat by at least 10 minutes.
Hurt could do the same thing, or have his power go out again.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Yeah, that
So,
was.
yeah.
Yes, next gen I went for stack skip without saving.
Well, anything is possible. This has been definitely been an unusual tournament so far.
For sure.
But judging by the way Swiss works here, I'm looking at the standings. Next Gen is going to go to 1 and 2, which means that his next opponent will be, looks like Zonorous or Mikino, and
It's
Phase-
also important. I was just going to mention I also got a bye, and that counts as kind of the same points as a win, so it might not. It might act weird for my next round.
No one else is 2 and 2 yet, so I don't know who
I
I'll
have no
face.
idea.
well, in that case, you may very well face me, depending on how this upcoming race goes.
Or I as well if I lose to Mickey. So.
If Mickey wins, I might have to face Mickey.
Oh, that is true. If Mickey wins, then you have the possibility of playing any of us three.
Good. It's just anything could happen. What is up with this weird Swiss format we've got? Whose idea was this?
That is true.
This
I
was-
beat JC because he died, so I got pretty lucky there.
Dude, literally exact same thing happened to me versus JC. I shouldn't have won it, but he died.
Yeah. JC needs to save. I think he's died in all 3 of his races.
Taking hints from those Super Metroid runners, just never saving ever.
Exactly.
But that's about all we got to say here, though. I'm just taking a look at the schedule here. Looks like we have the others, like I said, the other Super Metroid race in less than an hour, and then we have on Speed Gaming 1 we have at 8 p.m. and link to the past entrance shuffle randomizer race. So either of those things sound like something you want to watch, then definitely stick around. Otherwise, Next Gen and Phazon, you guys have anything else you want to add?
No.
Good race. Hope everyone else has a good race. Watch more Fusion. It's fun. Not for the
Yeah.
runners, but for the viewers.
I hate this game. Why do I play it?
Yeah, so GG to both runners. Extra GGs to Phazon for the win. And yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it for us for now. So come back in 45 minutes or so for more Fusion. Otherwise, thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, so Hercules was mentioning if you were available, if you wanted to like get a quick break or something, you could start early if you want. Like he's ready.
Oh, well, I'm not opposed to this, although I was hoping to grab a bit of water first.
Yeah,
though.
yeah. Of course. Yeah, I gotta get myself a drink too. Gotta
Awesome.
bring back more soda.
Stop drinking it all so fast.
No.
Dang, he's got me there. Yeah, that's gonna do it for at least this particular crew here. So we'll see y'all very shortly then.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for watching, everyone.
BRB.